And now I'd like to introduce the president of the School of Information Masters Association, who will address us on behalf of the master's students. Please welcome Ann Grady.
Hello. I am very much out of my comfort zone right now. I've actually been dreaming about this day for the last 4 years, ever since I watched my older brother walk across this same stage to accept his MSI. At the time, I'd been considering applying to library school. Stephen was here to study information policy, and he kept telling me, "Anne, you have to go to Michigan. You'll love it." I get a little ornery when I'm told I'll love something, so I resisted for months. No, I don't want to go to Michigan. I looked at the UMSI website, but I still wasn't really sold on the idea. Then I arrived in Ann Arbor for his graduation. As I walked around campus, ate at Zingerman's at least 5 times, and finally sat in Rackham, I think somewhere over there, I thought to myself, I really hate it when my brother's right. So I made it my goal to come to school here. And at the same time, in the back of my mind was this crazy idea. What if I could be the person on stage speaking at graduation? I really never thought that it would happen. I did think it would be an incredible experience, but never really expected it. And then the time came when I realized, well, yeah, I'm gonna be that person. Spoilers, it's nerve-wracking. And I started to get worried about what I'd say, because graduation speeches always feel like they go one of 2 ways. You have the advisory speech, how to succeed and be happy in life, but how can I advise you when I'm graduating with you? The other sort is the rallying speech, where I'd talk about how great the last 2 years have been, how bright our futures are, followed by a call to go change the world. The thing with that, well, I can only speak to my experience. My experience, unfortunately, does not include forecasting each and every one of your careers. Though, of course, our futures will be great, because we're University of Michigan graduates now, and we are, after all, the leaders and the best. I certainly can't tell you to change the world, though I know some of you just might. Instead, I'd like to share some things that have made an impact on me over the last 2 years. One of the first things I heard after coming here was from our then dean, Jeff Mackey Mason. At orientation, with all of us anxious to get started, he gave an official dean's welcome. His speech included an interesting piece of advice. He told us all, don't go to class. It seemed really strange at first. After all, we were here to get an education from UMSI. Surely not going to class would be a recipe for disaster. But what he went on to explain was that sometimes outside learning opportunities are the most valuable. Planning and attending conferences and events, networking, participating in the dean search process, congratulations, Dean Finholt, taking on community engagement projects, GSI positions. We will always have opportunities to learn. They don't have to center on the classroom or being a student. Of course, our classroom experiences have been influential too, and I will forever be grateful to Judy Lawson for standing up after Jeff Mackey Mason was done speaking to remind us that going to class was probably a good idea. The second thing I remember from that dean's welcome, which I've since heard as an almost endless refrain, is this: don't be afraid to fail. The message never really hit home until I went to design jams and had no idea what I was doing. They were terrifying. In the end, though, I walked away with some of my most memorable experiences, and free pizza and some swag. It reinforced the fact that if I'm not willing to accept failure, I'll never try. And if I never even try, I will absolutely never succeed. Upon reflection, this is probably something heard in many graduation speeches, so I won't take too much credit for it. Finally, my information architecture class had the incredible good fortune to Skype with the architect Richard Saul Werman. He told us, sell from your ignorance. Being the person in the room, he said, with the least amount of knowledge is the best position to be in. You learn a lot more when you walk in without any prior assumptions. These are lessons I've done my best to take to heart and will carry with me as I begin my career. But here's the thing. My experience, our experience, cannot be condensed in any way to lessons like that. What's important to me is not what Jeff Mackey Mason said 2 years ago, or Richard Saul Werman said while our class sat there in awe. What's important is that those lessons would mean nothing without having shared this experience with all of you. Recently, I took part in a lunchtime session with student leaders. We were asked to think about the best parts of our individual experiences here at UMSI. Almost everyone who shared had a similar answer. The best part about UMSI has been the people. The people of UMSI are passionate. They are engaged. They are dedicated and ambitious. They are creative. And at the risk of being terribly cheesy, they are you. You are the entrepreneurs, the ones developing projects, presenting at conferences, and taking your extracurricular learning to the next level. You are the librarians who honor tradition while embracing the future and the new ways people engage with information. You are the archivists who not only help us to preserve our history, but are developing ways to preserve new information as it's created. You are the ones engaging with the community, asking how we can recognize and celebrate diversity, but also how we can better meet the needs of diverse populations. You are the teachers, discovering new ways to connect with students and leverage technology in the classroom. Most of all, you, and your passion and dedication, are inspiring. It's why I know you're going to have an impact, wherever you go and whatever you do. Since we first met a couple years ago, we've shared long nights writing papers, the struggle of finding meeting times that work for everyone in a group, the stress of classes, the anxiety of finding internships, the relief when we could finally say, "Tear down that affinity wall." But we've also shared birthdays, football games, and nights out, or in, and through all of it, we've developed some amazing friendships. So in light of that, I have two final things to say. First, thank you all so much for the last 2 years. They've been wonderful. And finally, because I'm pretty sure my brother will disown me if I don't, for today, goodbye. For tomorrow, good luck, and forever, go blue.